Welcome back to Fitnixx Coaching. I'm going to dive a little more into some foam rolling techniques. So I have the mobility playlist if you want to see some different ways to release and help increase your mobility in different areas, or if certain areas are just tight or sore from your workouts, you can check those out. But I'm going to go over a couple different things you can do with foam rolling. Now there's also different tools you can use. So there is your classic foam roller. You'll see different types, different sizes. Some are like foam, some are a little harder. I prefer the harder versions because they don't soften over time. So they're always going to work just as good as day one. And then you have things like your lacrosse ball or like a massage ball. They'll call it different things. I just use lacrosse balls, super cheap, super easy, same thing. And then your stick. So different areas can be harder to get to. A couple rules of thumb when it comes to foam rolling. You always want to go in the same direction that the muscle goes. So if I'm doing my calf, I'm going to go up and down, and you basically want to hit all the different areas of the muscle. So the inside, the middle, the outside, the lower part, the soleus, the gastroc, the two different parts of those calf muscles. So smaller areas like the calf or your hip flexors or like it deep in the glutes, smaller things like this would be easier. Also, it can be hard to get into certain positions with the foam roller. For instance, if I want to foam roll my quad, I need to get on top of the foam roller. Now it's turning into a core and upper body workout, which there's nothing wrong with that, but it might be a little harder to get those areas that you want. So that's where things like this come in as well. I also personally like it for not just my quad, so again, going up and down along the muscle, but things like this muscle. So a lot of you might feel like you get shin splints when you're starting to run or increasing your activity. The tibialis anterior, this muscle that's on your shin, the front of your leg, sometimes that muscle, just like any other muscle, is now getting sore because it's doing a lot more work it's used to. So you don't want to go right on your shin bone. That's going to be painful and not do anything for you. Just a little bit to the outside of where your shin bone is, that's where that muscle is, the tibialis anterior. So that is the muscle you can foam roll to help prevent that pain you might get in the front of your shin if you're increasing that activity. Not saying it's not shin splints, but 9 times out of 10 it isn't shin splints. Check your shoes, check your running habits, things like that. You can always get a second opinion. Check, make sure they're not shin splints. If they're not shin splints, that is a good way. And then of course stretching by pulling the toe. So if you're stretching that quad and you pull the toe, it's going to stretch that same muscle there. As we get into things like the calf, so calves can get very tight very easily, and it's sometimes often hard to stretch that area. So I like to start from the smaller part, the soleus. So you're kind of going on the inside and the outside, using your body, using your hands to move your body, and you're putting as much or as little pressure on that ball as you feel comfortable. When you're foam rolling, if you need to foam roll, it is going to be uncomfortable. It's going to be a little bit painful, but it should be almost like a deep tissue massage kind of pain, not a sharp shooting pain. So be aware of the different types of pain, but just nice and easy. You want to go slow when you're foam rolling. And as you're moving into different areas, so I'm moving up to the upper part here, the outside of my calf, that's a little more tender. So I'm actually going to spend a little more time there. If it's more tender, that means you need to spend a bit more time foam rolling that area. So nice and easy, just up and down, slow control, putting as much pressure as you can on that ball or foam roller, whatever you're using, and just working to the different areas of the muscle. But again, going along the same direction that the muscle goes. One other little tip, if you are foam rolling your back, I like to start with sitting in front of it. You never want to go directly in the center on your spine. Do not do that, okay? You want to go just slightly to the side, so you don't need to be on your side, but I'm just shifting my weight a little bit to one side. And now I can kind of lift my hips off the ground. I'm putting a little more pressure on the foam roller, and just nice and easy and slow, I'm rolling up and down the lower back muscles here. Again, you can kind of shift to get the areas that you need. It's not too tender, so I don't need to spend a lot of time there. Now I'm going to hug my arms together as I work up to my upper back. I'm lifting my hips up so I can put more pressure on the foam roller. As I pull my shoulder blades apart, I'm going to be able to get deep under those shoulder blades. I don't know about you guys, but I get a lot of knots in my back in that area. So this, getting my hips up nice and high so I get more pressure on that foam roller. And again, just slow control, spending a little more time, even holding pressure on those tender spots. If you feel like you have a knot there, just sit there for a second, breathing through. Try to get nice, deep breaths so you can help your body relax into this foam rolling. As like I said, it is not often comfortable. It's going to be uncomfortable, especially if you need to do this. Now I'm getting a little higher into my trap area. So this is a very common place for people to get knots. A lot of people have tension in that trap area. This is a little harder to do on your own, but you basically are putting as much weight and pressure all the way up, making sure again we're not on the spine. So I'm more on one side, and I'm just kind of hugging my arms together to get into those deeper spots. And like I said, you want to breathe through that. A lot of you, if you're like myself, might have some knots in that area. That's going to be the most uncomfortable. But I had a knot earlier today and I rolled it out, and almost instantly you have that relief. So it is a fantastic tool. So this is one of those things, no pain, no gain, but foam rolling, self-myofascial release, which is what it is one of the best tools to help with recovery, mobility. You're getting more blood flow, and it helps to release some of that tension and tightness almost instantly. So it is a great way to get rid of those knots, those aches and pains sometimes, but also to increase that range of motion and that mobility so you can perform better in your workouts. So thank you so much for tuning in. Subscribe for more info on training and health and nutrition. And until next time.